The uncharted zone. Deep within the crystalline spires of Nova Prime, the Galactic Library housed knowledge from 1,000 civilizations. Holographic data streams cascaded through the air, forming rivers of light that connected archives spanning millions of years. Scholar Zex of the Kartian Collective navigated these streams with practiced ease, his 4 slender arms manipulating multiple data interfaces simultaneously. The library represented the pinnacle of galactic cooperation. Every species contributed their knowledge, every culture added their history, and every civilization mapped their territory. Yet, as Zex worked on his comprehensive survey of galactic cartography, he discovered something peculiar. A void existed in every star map. Not a void of space, but a void of information. Precisely where human territory should be marked, the maps simply ended. No routes, no borders, no planetary data. Just empty space where the Sol system and its colony should be displayed. Zex's curiosity transformed into obsession. The Kartians, renowned for their mathematical precision and logical thinking, could not accept such an obvious gap in the data. He accessed map after map, chart after chart, finding the same anomaly everywhere. The most detailed survey maps of the galaxy, produced by the Vorian Cartographic Council, simply showed a blank region labeled Exclusion Zone Alpha. Professional pride demanded answers. Zex scheduled a meeting with Elder Historian Vora, a being whose memory banks contained fragments of knowledge predating the current galactic order. The Vorian's crystalline form hummed softly as Zex entered her chamber. Young scholar, Vora's thoughts resonated directly in Zex's mind. You seek answers about the unmapped territory. Elder Vora, the inconsistency troubles me. We map black holes, neutron stars, and even theoretical phenomena. Yet human space remains uncharted. This defies all principles of scientific documentation. The Elder's form darkened, her usual luminescence dimming. Some knowledge carries weight beyond mere data. The absence you've discovered is not an error, but a protection. Protection. From what? Humans are members of the Galactic Council. They trade with us, share technology, participate in cultural exchanges. Yes, Vora responded. They do all these things, but they do them on their terms, within their boundaries. The maps end where human territory begins because every species understands what happens when those boundaries are crossed. Zex's scientific mind rebelled against such vague warnings. After leaving Vora's chamber, he began unauthorized research into restricted archives. Using his clearance as a senior scholar, he accessed fragments of ancient communications, piecing together a puzzle that most species had deliberately forgotten. The first breakthrough came from a corrupted data crystal containing Corvan military transmissions. The Corvans had been a powerful empire 3 centuries ago, known for their aggressive expansion. The transmissions detailed their encounter with a species they initially dismissed as primitive: humans. Day 1. Scout ships report successful incursion into uncharted territory. Local species identified as humans possess basic FTL capability. Conquest protocols initiated. Day 3. Forward base established on outer colony. Human response minimal. Victory projected within standard cycle. Day 7. Emergency protocols activated. Human counterattack exceeds all projections. Request immediate reinforcement. Day 9. Fleet compromised. Unknown weapon systems detected. Retreat impossible. They're not just defending, they're hunting. Day 11. Final transmission. They offered peace on Day 2. We chose war. Now they show us why their territory is unmarked. Tell the Council, mark this space forbidden. Let no map guide others to this fate. The transmissions ended there. The Corvan Empire, which had spanned 50 star systems, ceased expansion after this encounter. They never spoke of what happened, but their maps showed the same void where human space should be. Zex delved deeper, finding similar patterns across multiple species histories: the Draxian hegemony, the Yillan Confederation, even the ancient predecessors, all had encountered human space, and all had learned the same lesson. The message was consistent. Human territory remained unmapped not because it couldn't be charted, but because it shouldn't be. Through careful cross-referencing, Zex uncovered references to something called the Silent Treaties. These weren't formal documents recorded in the Galactic archives, but rather an unspoken understanding among all spacefaring species. The terms were simple: respect human boundaries, maintain peaceful relations, and never, ever map their territory. The more Zex researched, the more he understood the fear underlying this agreement. Humans weren't aggressive conquerors like the old Corvan Empire. They didn't expand through force or subjugation. Instead, they possessed something far more terrifying: the ability to end any threat absolutely and finally, coupled with the wisdom to offer peace first. A restricted file from the Meridian Collective contained a single line that haunted Zex. They master technologies we abandon as too dangerous. They walk paths we fear to tread. They offer friendship once, war once, and then silence forever. As he compiled his findings, Zex realized he stood at a crossroads. He could report his discoveries, potentially triggering a crisis that might lead to the very conflict the Silent Treaties prevented. Or he could maintain the silence, leaving the void in the maps as a warning to future generations. The choice seemed clear until he received an encrypted message from an unexpected source. Ambassador Threll of the Vargan Republic requested a private meeting. The message contained only coordinates and a time, but Zex knew this meeting would change everything. The Vargans were one of the few species that maintained regular diplomatic relations with humans. If anyone knew the full truth about the unmapped territory, it would be them. As Zex prepared for the meeting, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to cross a boundary far more significant than any line on a map. The mystery of human space wasn't just about cartography or territorial boundaries. It was about understanding why the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had collectively decided that some regions were better left uncharted, some powers better left undisturbed, and some species better left with their secrets intact. The Silent Treaties. The meeting location was a derelict space station in the neutral zone, a region specifically designated for unofficial diplomatic contacts. As Zex's shuttle approached, he noticed the station bore no identification markers, no energy signatures that would reveal its presence to casual scans. It was a ghost in space, perfect for conversations that never happened. Ambassador Threll waited in a dimly lit conference room, his reptilian features partially obscured by shadows. The Vargan scales, usually vibrant green, appeared muted in the low light. He gestured for Zex to sit. "You've been researching the unmapped zone," Threll stated without preamble. "Your queries triggered several warning protocols across multiple diplomatic networks." Zex felt his heart accelerate. "I merely sought to understand an anomaly in our cartographic records." An anomaly. Threll's laugh held no humor. "Is that what we're calling it now? Tell me, Scholar Zex, what have you learned about human space?" Fragments, warnings, references to something called the Silent Treaties. Threll leaned forward, his yellow eyes intense. "Then you know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be wise. The Silent Treaties aren't documents, Zex. They're survival itself." The ambassador activated a holographic display, showing a star map with human space clearly marked. The first such map Zex had ever seen. The territory was vast, encompassing not just the Sol system, but hundreds of colonies spreading in a rough sphere. "This map is classified beyond top secret," Threll explained. "Only a handful of beings in the galaxy have access to it, and showing it to you violates several dozen protocols. But you need to understand why we don't map human space." The hologram shifted, displaying historical footage. Zex watched as Corvan dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, approached a human colony world. The footage was dated 3 centuries ago. "The Corvans thought humans were primitive," Threll narrated. "They had basic FTL, simple energy weapons, and a laughably small fleet. The conquest should have taken days. The footage showed the human response. Instead of challenging the dreadnoughts directly, human ships, tiny in comparison, executed maneuvers that defied physics. They didn't fight. They simply touched the Corvin vessels and vanished. Quantum tunneling technology, Threll explained. Humans developed it for mining operations. They realized it could transport antimatter directly into a ship's core. The dreadnoughts began exploding from within, cascading failures that turned the mighty fleet into an expanding cloud of debris. The entire battle lasted less than 10 minutes. But that wasn't what terrified the galaxy. Threll continued. Watch what happened next. The footage showed human ships approaching the Corvin homeworld. Instead of attacking, they broadcast a message on all frequencies. We offered peace. You chose war. We offer peace again. Choose wisely. The Corvins surrendered immediately, Threll said. And that's when the galaxy realized something profound about humans. They don't conquer. They don't subjugate. They simply remove threats, then return to their original offer of peace. Zex struggled to process this information. But why the secrecy? Why not simply mark their territory like everyone else? Because humans understand something most species don't, Threll replied. Power displayed is power challenged. They learned this lesson in their own bloody history, so they chose a different path. The hologram shifted again, showing various alien fleets approaching human space over the centuries. Each time, the same pattern repeated: a warning, an offer of peace, and then, if rejected, a response so overwhelming that it defied comprehension. Humans master technologies that others abandon as too dangerous, Threll explained. Quantum tunneling, singularity manipulation, temporal mechanics, fields that the Galactic Council banned as existential threats. Humans simply implemented safety protocols and continued development. But if they're so powerful, why haven't they conquered the galaxy? Threll's expression softened. Because they remember what it's like to be the underdog. Human history is filled with examples of technological superiority being used for oppression. They chose to break that cycle. The ambassador pulled up another file. The silent treaties emerged after the Yilin incident. The silent treaties had kept the peace for centuries, but they had also created a gulf of understanding that Zex felt compelled to bridge. Perhaps it was foolish. Perhaps it was dangerous. But the pursuit of knowledge had always carried risks. As he boarded his shuttle, Zex set a course for the boundary of human space. The warnings echoed in his mind, but so did a fundamental truth. Understanding, not ignorance, was the path to genuine peace. The journey to human space would take several days. Time enough to prepare, to doubt, and to wonder what lay beyond the edge of the maps. Time enough to realize that he was about to make either the greatest discovery of his career or the last mistake of his life. The crossing. The boundary of human space manifested not as a physical barrier, but as an absence, a line where all navigational data simply stopped. Zex's shuttle approached slowly, its sensors straining to detect any sign of defensive installations or patrol ships. Nothing appeared on any scan, yet Zex felt watched. At exactly the coordinates where the maps ended, Zex stopped his shuttle and waited. Hours passed in silence. He began to wonder if Threll had deceived him when his communication system activated on a frequency that shouldn't exist. Unidentified vessel, you are at the boundary of human space. State your purpose. The voice was calm, professional, and undeniably human. Zex transmitted the encrypted data crystal's signature as Threll had instructed. Silence followed. Then, Scholar Zex of the Karshan Collective. Your research has been noted. Prepare for escort. A ship materialized off his starboard side, literally materialized, as if stepping out of folded space. The vessel was smaller than Zex expected. Elegant in its simplicity, with no visible weapons or drive systems. Its hull displayed a name, Redeemer. Follow us, the voice instructed. Do not deviate from our course. As they crossed into human space, Zex's sensors went blind. Not jammed or disrupted. They simply reported nothing, as if the space around them didn't exist in any measurable way. The only point of reference was the Redeemer, leading him deeper into unmapped territory. After what felt like hours but registered as mere minutes on his chronometer, they arrived at a space station that defied conventional design. It appeared to be constructed of pure energy, its structure constantly shifting yet somehow stable. "Welcome to Threshold Station," the voice announced. "Captain Sarah Chen awaits you." The docking procedure was unlike anything Zex had experienced. His shuttle didn't dock so much as merge with the station, passing through what appeared to be solid matter. Inside, the environment automatically adjusted to Kartian preferences: atmosphere, gravity, even the spectrum of visible light. Captain Chen met him in a conference room that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. She was surprisingly young by human standards, with dark hair streaked with silver and eyes that held depths Zex couldn't fathom. "Scholar Zex," she greeted him warmly. "Your reputation precedes you. T." The normality of the offer in such surreal surroundings nearly made Zex laugh. "Thank you, Captain. I have many questions." "I'm sure you do." Chen poured tea from a pot that seemed to refill itself. "Let's start with why you're here. You want to know why maps end at our borders." "Yes. The silent treaties, the technology, the fear. I need to understand." Chen sipped her tea thoughtfully. "What you need to understand is that humans learned a terrible lesson early in our spacefaring age. We discovered that the universe operates on a simple principle: capability invites challenge." She gestured, and a room transformed into a holographic representation of Earth's history. Zex watched civilizations rise and fall, wars rage and cease, technology advance and destroy. "We nearly annihilated ourselves multiple times," Chen continued. "Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, artificial intelligence. Each advancement brought us closer to extinction. We survived by learning restraint." The hologram shifted to show humanity's first contact with alien life. "When we met the Corvins, we were excited. Finally, proof we weren't alone. We offered friendship, trade, cultural exchange. They saw weakness and attacked." "But you defeated them easily," Zex interjected. "Easily?" Chen's laugh held ancient sadness. "We defeated them completely. That's different. In doing so, we terrified ourselves. The weapons we'd developed for mining and research turned out to be perfect for war. Too perfect." The display showed human scientists and philosophers debating, governments convening, citizens protesting. We faced a choice: become conquerors or find another way. We chose isolation with interaction, power with restraint. "The silent treaties," Zex realized. "Exactly. We don't map our space because maps invite exploration. Exploration invites misunderstanding. Misunderstanding invites conflict. And conflict with humans." She let the sentence hang. "But why such secrecy? Why not simply explain your position?" Chen stood, walking to a window that showed the impossible vista of folded space. "Because explanation implies justification. We don't need to justify our existence or our choices. Those who respect our boundaries find us peaceful neighbors. Those who don't cease to exist," Zex finished. "Cease to threaten," Chen corrected. "We don't destroy civilizations, Zex. We remove threats. The distinction matters to us." She turned back to him, her expression serious. "You came seeking truth. Here it is. Humans possess technology that could reshape the galaxy. We use it only for defense and only when left no choice. The maps end at our borders because we've made the conscious decision to be cartographically invisible rather than militarily invincible." Zex processed this information. "But surely this isolation can't last forever." "It doesn't have to," Chen smiled. "Each generation of humans votes on whether to maintain the treaties. Each generation chooses peace through strength rather than peace through dominance. Someday, when the galaxy is ready, we'll open our borders. Until then, the maps end where human space begins," Zex completed the thought. Now you understand. Chen nodded. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Zex considered carefully. Nothing, he finally answered. I'll report that my research confirmed the wisdom of current protocols. Some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. Chen's smile broadened. Wisdom indeed. But knowledge earned shouldn't go unrewarded. She handed him a small device. This contains scientific data, non-military applications of some of our technology. Medicine, agriculture, energy production. Share it as you see fit. As Zex prepared to leave, Chen added, the boundary isn't just a line on a map, scholar. It's a promise. We'll stay on our side if you stay on yours. Peace through mutual respect, not mutual fear. The journey back to his shuttle was as surreal as the arrival. As he crossed the boundary again, his sensors sprang to life, showing empty space where Threshold Station had been moments before. Back at the Galactic Library, Zex filed his report. Investigation confirms cartographic anomaly serves vital diplomatic function. Recommendation: maintain current protocols indefinitely. He never spoke of what he'd seen beyond the boundary, but he kept the device Chen had given him. Over the following years, he anonymously released its contents, sparking revolutions in multiple fields across dozens of worlds. And whenever young scholars asked about the unmapped region of space, Zex would simply say, some borders exist not to separate, but to preserve. The maps end where understanding begins. In his private moments, Zex would look at the stars and wonder about the humans, the most powerful species in the galaxy, who chose to be invisible rather than invincible. He understood now why every species knew what happened when you crossed into human territory. You learned that true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the wisdom to refrain. The maps continued to end at human borders, and the galaxy continued to thrive in peace. Sometimes, Zex realized, the greatest discoveries are the ones we choose not to share. And sometimes, the most profound borders are the ones we draw around our own ambitions. In the vast library of galactic knowledge, the empty space on the maps spoke louder than any words could. It was a reminder that some powers are best left undisturbed, some territories best left uncharted, and some species best left to guard their own borders. For in the end, everyone knew what happened when you crossed into human space. You discovered that the most advanced civilization in the galaxy had learned the most important lesson of all. That true peace comes not from the ability to win every war, but from the wisdom to avoid them altogether.